Hey, everybody, we're back with you again here at the Something Wicked Film Festival 2018, and we always put an actor in the spotlight in every film festival that we have done the last 3 years, and this is going to be very cool, very special for me because I get a chance to interview a guy I met on set almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess what, 18, 19 years ago, in the 2000, I guess.
It was 96.
Was it that? I'm trying to
think.
remember how far back.
Yeah.
When you get old, it just goes away. But anyway, Ron Clinton Smith is our actor in the spotlight, and Ron, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And
You bet.
I don't want to embarrass you because I know you don't like drawing a lot of attention to yourself and stuff, and this can be a little awkward and uncomfortable. But we really, I think you have had such an incredible run in this, and I shouldn't speak past tense because you're still going.
Right.
But a good run in this business, and you've seen it from almost start to finish. So I want to talk a little bit and get these people to know a little bit about
Sure.
how this all came about.
You bet.
How did Ron become an actor?
I had done a little bit of acting in high school, but when I was about 25, 26, I went into a jazz bar and saw this local legend, Colonel Bruce Hampton, doing some really off-the-wall comedy, just some really wild stuff that he just came up with himself, and he was just a hilarious guy. He had a band called the Hampton Grease Band, had been a friend of Zappa's, and I thought, I think I can do that. I don't know why, but I just feel like I can do it. I wanted to, I was attracted to it. So, and I told him I thought I could, and we started working together, kind of like playing off of each other some.
Nice.
And then, he started saying, he was like doing this regular gig there at like 2 in the morning. And he said, one night he said, you just go on and do it. Just do it, So I'd go up there, and people were laughing and everything. I saw their faces laughing, and I was like, oh my God, this is I got really high on it.
Got the bug.
Yeah. And I just kind of played around with it a lot. It was a lot of improv and just off the wall material. And then I realized that was acting. I didn't really had never really thought about how to get into acting. And after doing that for a while, some friends that owned a theater in Little 5 Points, 7 Stages.
Nice. Yes, 7 Stages, yeah.
Asked me to do a Sam Shepard play.
Nice.
And I was hooked. I got on there, and I was like, okay, this is it. I can do this, And
Well, you did stand-up comedy in a sense.
Right.
Started with that, and then, that's
yeah.
something that a lot of us who have been in the business, that's like the hardest thing in the world to do.
It is really, it is really one of the hardest things to do. Maybe the hardest thing, but I guess you just have a feel for it. It happens, and so I did theater for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Best place in the world to learn to act
Absolutely.
is theater. Charles Durning said that the audience teaches you.
It's true.
And there's no doubt about it that you can be prepared and have a great show, great performance, but you go in one night and you're not fully there and you're phoning it in. You can feel it from the audience, and they're just not buying it, and when it's happening, they know it's happening.
Yep.
So. I really, I did a lot of different kinds of plays, a lot of Sam Shepard, and then I was really interested in film. There wasn't a lot of film going on at the time.
Not a whole lot, no.
Early 80s.
Yep. I didn't move down here till '84, so
Yeah,
barely.
couple of TV movies coming in
Burt
every
Reynolds
now and then.
shot a
Burt
couple
Reynolds.
films down here.
Yeah. And I got an agent who couldn't even get me in to see the casting directors for a while, until I talked to somebody who who knew Shay
There you go.
really well, and then got in the door, started reading for
And
her.
she was really the only legitimate actor. I mean, actor's agent in the
Yes.
area there at that time. There was
Yeah,
many of the others. I knew a few like you knew that.
yeah, she was definitely it.
Yep,
I mean,
she was it.
I just hear people say, I say I want to do film. Well, you have to see Shay.
You have to see Shay.
I said, what who is this? It was like the film goddess, and
And for those of you who don't know Shay Griffin, I mean, we would not have a film industry in Georgia if it was not for her.
right,
I mean, she talk about persistence.
right.
Amazing job that she did.
So I was really glad to meet her and then start reading for her, and then she was calling me in a lot. She saw something, so I just started picking up small roles with her, and I think I've done about a third of my films have been cast by Shay.
Wow.
So
Now, you remember the very first one? The first time you went on set?
yes,
It's got to leave an indelible mark.
yeah, it was called Grassroots, and it was a TV movie, and I worked with Reginald Vell Johnson was the
nice.
star,
Yeah.
was one of the stars,
Yeah.
and the other actor, there were two. We were playing cops who arrest Reginald Vell Johnson, who's breaking into a post office box, and I was actually 40 years old. I just turned 40.
Wow.
And my title was Rookie Cop. And so I've been fortunate to be able to play younger roles than I am. But anyway, and it was very exciting, and it was pretty wild, It was I remember because in theater, I'd done so much theater, and you get prepared and you've got space and.
Right.
You've got I don't know. You're sort of in control of theater.
Yep.
We're in this tiny little space, in this little post office downtown, Woodruff Park, and we were getting ready to shoot, and everybody's running around in front of me and all over me, and all the people doing stuff to me and everything, and then all of a sudden everybody slides in behind the camera, and I'm like, I mean, I've got about 10 feet of space here, It was like, it was a real and very intense experience, but I enjoyed it, but it was new. It was all new.
It is. Yeah, that's a little scary at first.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
that camera could be very intimidating. I know that was my reaction going from stage to film. It was
yeah.
Yeah, that is different. I mean, that experience is different. But then,
Yeah, it's like,
I hate to put it in these terms though. But do you have more of affinity for film than stage? Did that sort of grow over the period of time as things changed?
well, I mean, I loved stage. I was crazy about it. But once I went to film, I actually haven't gone back to do theater.
It's hard to. I can understand.
I'm very tempted to, but then I keep looking at these films and going, man, I've got to get this part. I want to work in this movie, and here's an opportunity coming up. If I do a play, I know I'll miss something in film, So I've stayed with film.
So in these early days, I mean, again, it was like TV movies was about all we were seeing here, commercials, and not much of anything. Very few big feature films coming in. What were some of your goals? I mean, sort of the track along the way. Because you again, folks, this is a Georgia boy. I mean, he born and bred here.
Yeah.
Except when you went to college and traipsed down to Florida State.
Right.
And then came back.
Right. Well, I kept thinking about going to L.A., but I didn't particularly want to move out there. And I kept really hoping more stuff would come here. So I wanted to play really good character roles.
Yeah.
I definitely knew that I was a character actor, and never really was interested in leading man stuff. And wanted to do as many diverse roles as possible. I wanted to do more comedy than I ended up doing, because there were not a lot of really great comedy roles. There were always, dramatic roles. Later on, I did get to do a show called Blotter, which was done independently here and sold to TBS, which was a takeoff on Cops. And I got to do a really funny character in this small town cop that named Gary the Breeze Essex, who was the star quarterback in high school, and then became a cop, and he's still living his glory days as the star quarterback, and that's why they call him the Breeze.
Now, that wasn't typecasting, was it? What did you play when you played football?
I played offensive guard.
You're offensive guard, okay.
Yeah, so that was the thankless.
I guess it's hard to live those glory
offensive
days.
line, yeah. But
It's a tough position.
But anyway, it was fun. It was fun. He was just a real hot dog. He hangs around the high school, flirting with the cheerleaders, gives them a ride in his squad car, and turns on the sirens and stuff. But he's after, and he chases every woman in town. So that was fun. He's kind of like a Barney Fife, but who is a playboy at the same time. And so yeah, that was really fun, because I hadn't been able to just kind of go nuts and do funny stuff.
Hey, and TBS provided a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Back then, when Ted first got going there and bought the satellite and stuff, they were doing a lot of original programming.
Right. Yeah.
For quite a long time.
Yeah.
Kept a little work going there.
Right.
So when did it really start kicking into high gear? Because, there came a time when all of a sudden we started seeing Ron Clinton Smith in a lot of stuff. You're showing up everywhere.
Yeah. I think, I had some good roles like Chill Factor in 1999.
Oh, I forgot about Chill Factor, yeah.
Yeah. And a couple other films that were good film parts. But when I did Warm Springs with Kenneth Branagh,
yeah.
I felt more, felt like I was getting into some really good, true acting stuff. And just being with Kenneth Branagh, if you just play off of him well, you're
That's
fine.
true.
But he was such an inspiration,
Absolutely.
The first take I did with him, and he turned to me and said, "Was that good? Was that good?" And I went, "It's incredible."
I was going to say, he's asking me. Yeah, I could understand that.
So that was a lot of fun. And then We Are Marshall, the football
It's a great movie, yeah.
And
with our mutual friend Mark Oliver.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
He played a great character.
Yeah. And I remember the first cut of the film was about 2.5 hours, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to one of the crew guys, and he said, "Oh man, you're big. You're all over the film, And then they cut it down to 2 hours and 3 minutes. I think I was like a co-star in the original thing, but so anyway, I'm peppered all through it.
Oops,
but L. Warren, L. Warren Young.
Yep.
He and I played coaches.
Right.
And when we saw the screening together with our families and everything, at the end of the movie, we just walked up to each other and looked at each other and went, it's like, good God, what happened to our stuff?
But at least you were still there.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those experiences when you went to a screening and didn't realize?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't, yeah. That's so.
Oh, yeah.
Anything's better than that.
Yeah, I think that's part of the dues,
It is.
that you have to pay. I bet.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. Couple of times that happened.
Well, we met on the set of a film called Unshackled.
Yes.
And I actually I was supposed to come in and play day player, and they upgraded me, so I got to hang around for a couple of days with a guy by the name of Rance Hopkins. We were the federal officials who, making sure you guys were being desegregated in the prison or whatever. But
right.
You played a really intriguing character, because I noticed you had a very unique look. Of course, they had a lot of people in that movie that had unique looks, but yours was just something that really stood out. Latch Eye, wasn't that the name?
That was my partner.
Oh, that was your partner. Okay.
Latch-Eye was played by Bill Gribble.
That's right.
A great character
Yeah.
actor. And I was playing a character named Railroad.
Railroad. I forgot that.
And
Do that all the
he's
time.
called Railroad because he had
Yep. You had the big scar.
these scars across his face, knife and razor cuts.
Right.
And they were the two toughest guys
Right.
in Reedsville State Prison. They
Two
were
biggest guys.
They
I mean,
really
yeah.
existed.
Yeah.
They ran the rackets,
Mm-hmm.
the guards, what they call the gal boys. They had this whole thing down, and they could get anybody killed. And yeah, that was a very wild film.
It was an interesting set. Yeah.
It was. It actually took place. Harold Morris wrote the book and the script, and it actually took place at a time in the 70s when
Right.
Reedsville was being integrated. It had been a segregated prison, and so there was a lot of racial tension, and so Railroad and Latch-Eye, who were hated and feared and respected too, end up getting killed in the gym
Yeah, they got the
by
just
the
desserts.
black gang.
Yep.
And that was a lot of fun.
Interesting little film that nobody's ever seen, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was a good education.
But it really did start, I think, sort of the beginning of that. We had that really nice little stretch there in the 90s.
Right.
Where all of a sudden we were popular with the big filmers again.
That's true.
And what's some of the stuff that came after that for you?
Let's see. Warm Springs.
Right.
We Are Marshall. I did Chill Factor in
Yeah.
98, 99.
With old Cuba,
Yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
and then I did The Mist in 2006.
Oh, we've got to talk about that.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that we were talking just a few minutes ago about, in my opinion, the best adaptation of a Stephen King novel ever, a story ever. Just
Yeah.
amazing movie.
Stephen King loved Darabont's work,
Yes.
who did, of course, Unshackled and The Green Mile,
Yeah.
which were Stephen King movies.
Right.
So he kind of he trusted him with the script, and Frank was fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say. Now, were you familiar with his work when you got booked to do that job?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, mainly Shawshank. Or are you talking about Stephen King?
No, Darabont.
Yeah.
Working with Darabont.
Yeah, Shawshank mainly, and The Green Mile. So that was really thrilling. Everybody was, we had like 6 or 7 people from our agency
Oh yeah, it was terrific.
go over
yes.
there to do the movie, and we were all like we're working with a god,
Absolutely.
It was like so that was a blast, and the ensemble, I think that's the best ensemble that I've worked with. Marcia Gay Harden,
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, we were talking about Toby Jones. And oh my God, I mean, Bill
Jeffrey,
Sanderson. I mean,
Laurie
everybody.
Allgood.
Yeah. And then of course you got Thomas Jane and Laurie Holden, who went on to, she and Melissa went on to
Right.
do Walking Dead for him.
Bill
and-
Sadler.
Yep, Sadler. I mean, God.
Bill Sadler he was fantastic. And he was a favorite of Darabont's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeffrey DeMoon and Sadler
Another good one.
both worked in Shawshank
Yep.
or The Green Mile. So that was thrilling. I mean, what a group of actors to work with.
Well, I think, and you were telling me the details of the story that I didn't realize, but I thought your performance in that film was some of the finest acting I'd ever seen. Because this is acting without lines, and it's got to be. You had a major character in this film,
Right.
and you didn't say a word.
Right.
Which tell me a little bit about that experience, because
Yeah. When I
Just
read
incredible.
the script, I'm looking at him and saying, Mr. Mackey is all through the
Yeah.
all through the story, the butcher, but I don't see any words for him or anything, And I get there, and the first thing that Frank said to me was, "I'm going to come up with some lines for you. I'm going to come up with something for you." So, And then about halfway through, I was doing a scene. I said, "You want me to say something to this?" You know, he goes, "No, hold off on that." You know, and then at the very end, my main stuff that I'm doing in the finale, some of the finale stuff, I asked him one more time. I said, "Do you want me to say anything or anything?" And he just sat there for a minute and thought about it and said, "You know what? This is much creepier if we never hear your voice. We never hear you say anything." So, you know, I was fine with it actually when I realized, when I saw the movie and saw how creepy it was to see this guy in a butcher suit that never says anything at all, and then comes up and starts stabbing this.
Well, that's what I was going to
soldier.
say. When you do that big scene, nobody says anything, and I mean, I think I can't imagine that scene with any of you guys making any kind of a sound, because it was just almost mechanical. I mean, it was so evil.
Right.
What she had, what Marcia Gay Harden's character had done to
Mrs.
you
Carmody.
guys. Yeah, Carmody. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember her name. I mean,
Yeah.
what she had done to you guys, the brainwashing or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
What a powerful scene.
Oh man. Yeah. It was.
And
It
just
was,
when you think you got a powerful scene, then he threw another one at the end of the movie that blew everyone out of the water. But still, I think
Yeah.
that scene in there was one of my favorites. Just an incredible scene in the grocery store.
Yeah. Me too. It was pretty creepy.
Now, as an actor, yeah, I mean, how much of a challenge was that? I mean, I know you're saying, okay, I'm going to get some lines down here, but I mean, still, you've still got to be in that character.
Sure.
You're still performing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Really. Yeah. Just interacting and being completely aware and listening. There's a scene where Mrs. Carmen, no, let's see, one of the other women in the store starts to. It's Mrs. Carmody is actually talking, and she really pisses off Bill Sadler's character. I can't remember his character's name.
I can't either.
Really pisses him off, and he lunges. He starts to go for her, and I was standing next to him, and I grabbed him. A couple other people grabbed him, and were holding him back, you know. And it's just it's so I'm involved a lot, you know,
Right.
but it's a silent involved, you know.
Well, I think the power in your character was in your eyes. What you did with your eyes, your face, and you might not be, you were just so into it, I think, but it was a powerful role.
Thank you.
Amazing character.
Yeah.
And you bring that a lot. I mean, in a lot of the stuff I've seen you in recently, I think that's one of the real assets you have, and why you get cast so much, because you do bring that special element to the screen. You got a great screen persona.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you know, I'm thinking that the work you did on True Detective,
Uh-huh.
and you know, and some of the other Hidden Figures and stuff, and for some people, I mean, these are memorable roles. Even if they're small, there's no such thing as a small role,
Right.
as we all know. But memorable characters. Did you have a favorite in that bunch? That one that just really stands out, saying, "Man, I am so proud to be a part of that production."
Well, when I did Hidden Figures a few
Yeah.
years ago, I felt like I had kind of done the role that I was building up to do. You know, I did well. There were several others before that, but working with those three actresses was really something special. And the director, Theodore Melfi, was who did St. Vincent.
Yes. Great. That's a very underrated film
Yeah.
as well.
Just the collaboration with Janelle Monáe and Taraji P. Henson and Octavia Spencer, and that scene, it all felt like it kind of came together
Yeah.
in a special way for me.
Some great work.
Besides The Mist, I don't think I've worked with a better ensemble. And,
Oh, it was a good ensemble. Yeah.
and when I saw those three women working together in the beginning of the scene before I step into it, I thought this film is going to really, kick ass.
It is such a terrific story, and one that nobody knew.
Right.
As big of a space geek as I was, I had no idea. When I read parts of that script, it was like, I didn't know that.
Right.
I had no idea these women even existed.
I didn't either.
And I grew up with the Mercury 7 guys were my absolute
Right.
heroes. I mean, yeah, they were about the same age.
Right.
These guys were gods.
Right.
To propel themselves into outer space and then the moon landing and
Yeah.
everything. It's hard to explain to people unless they were about our age during that time period of how important these people were to us growing up. So,
Yeah.
what a great movie to be a part of.
Yeah.
Now, what have you done recently, Ron? What are you working on now, or just completed, or whatever? Anything you can talk about?
Yeah, I did a movie based on the Bobby Brown story, which
Oh,
is
yeah. Yeah.
a bio for BET, and I think it's going to be a really great movie. I think it's
Another very interesting story.
a good bio, and I know they don't pull any punches in it, and got to work with Mekhi Phifer,
Nice.
from who I love so much on ER.
Yeah.
And that was fun. And that comes out. Let's see, that starts airing on BET September 4th. And then, I play a sheriff in Columbus, Georgia, who, as he's walking onto the stage with his entourage, warn him that in the state of Georgia, any kind of lewd acts on the stage will result in his immediate arrest, And so he brings his pregnant girlfriend up here and says, "Hey, this is my girlfriend. She's pregnant. She's going to have my baby. And we're going to keep it family tonight. It's going to be, it's going to be cool." And he winks at me and shakes my hand, totally charms me. And then he gets on stage and brings the girl up on stage and starts doing like a porno
The
thing
Bobby
on
Brown
stage.
stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
And then we have to then we rush on and drag him off, And as we're dragging him off, he winks at his brother on the side, like, I meant to do this, So anyway, so that was fun. But I'm really excited about a movie called Boy Erased,
Yes. Yeah.
which is coming out in November. Written and directed by Joel Edgerton, who did Loving,
Right.
played Tom Buchanan in Gadsby. It was in Black Mass, Red Sparrow recently.
And he's tackling a pretty tough subject on this one.
Yes, it's
Very close to home, I think, for anyone who lives in the Deep South.
It's based on the book by Gerard Conley, who grew up in Arkansas in a very religious family. His father was a big Baptist preacher, played by Russell Crowe. His mother is played by Nicole Kidman. And in his late teens, he starts to question his sexuality. He feels like he can't really hide it from his parents anymore. Confesses to his father, who just loses it completely, and they more or less guilt him into going into a conversion therapy school, where supposedly he's going to be transformed.
Turned back, yeah.
Yeah, from a homosexual to a heterosexual, which is just a horror show, really. These poor kids. I play an abusive father of one of the boys who's in there, and like a coach, and kind of a big guy in the community, and doesn't even want people to know that his son is gay and that he's
Right.
even in the program. So
I gotta. That had to be a challenge as a character for an actor, for you as an actor.
yeah,
Because that's not typecasting at all.
No.
The Ron Clinton Smith I know wouldn't harm a fly.
No,
And to play someone evil like that, that'd
right,
be difficult.
right. I've got two sons, and
Yeah.
have kind of a totally opposite sort of fathering way of
Right.
fathering with them and everything. And but you know, I've seen a lot of it. I think as just as an actor, you just draw on people that you've observed and seen. You know this guy. You know, you've seen him maybe in a lot of places. You know.
Well, I think, in our generation, growing up, a lot of that was going on.
Sure.
It was hushed up. Our parents wouldn't talk about it.
Right.
We as kids sort of knew what was going on, and at least it's getting out in the open again. So
Yeah.
at least we can see it's going on. But
Right.
do you know the tentative release date for Boy Race? When
It's
they got scheduled
sometime
for?
in November.
That you said November. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be a powerful film.
Yeah, I was so impressed by Joel Edgerton, who wrote the script, plays the lead counselor or whatever you call him
Whatever. Yeah.
at the conversion therapy school. He's the guy in charge. His name is Sykes, and so he wrote and directed the film at the same time. His brother Nash, who resembles him a lot, is also an actor and director. He directed a film called Gringo not too long ago,
Yeah, I remember that.
and they work together a lot.
Okay.
So they're kind of he told us all, my brother Nash is going to be my extra set of eyes, while I'm doing this, and that was a great experience. They were really cool to work with. And the Aussies they were
Nice.
just fun, and yeah, he's wonderful.
Okay, so it's time now to really get to know Ron Clinton Smith. When you're not acting, which is all encompassing, but what do you like to do? What does Ron do when he's not acting? What are some of the things you enjoy?
Well, my first love actually was writing. So I was playing football in college. I got to a point where I just didn't want to. It was a full-time job. I had been playing football since I was like 8 years old. I was about 20.
And your dad was a big football player.
Yeah, he
was
played
it?
at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, just couldn't get myself psyched up anymore for it. And I had been writing since I was a teenager, and just been kind of writing poems and things. And it just hit me. I was like 20 years old, and I thought, what do you really want to do? I want to be a writer. I really want to write, And I just started in then. And that was really my first love before I got into acting.
Interesting. And I know you do it quite a bit. I mean, you dedicate so many hours or whatever to. I know when we've talked, you've got your audition time, you've got your writing time. And is poetry your first choice, or do you want to get into writing screenplays? Or
Well, I wrote a screenplay called Creature Storms, which I then spent 10 years turning into a novel, published in 2012. And then I've written a lot of stories that have been published in literary journals. In fact, I've got a book of stories
nice.
now that I'm getting. I've got to put them together now and do a book. I'm working on another screenplay, and I've just started another novel about a month ago.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
What kind of genre do you like? Do you have a specific genre you like writing about?
I like my stories have been mostly nonfiction. Have been true, but really funny stories. Really kind of
Interesting. Yeah.
or there's definitely humor through the stories.
Going back to your roots.
Yeah, and yeah, really. So that's what I like to write in stories. In drama, Creature Storms is a kind of a quasi supernatural novel about some guys trying to save a big farm in Tennessee in the 80s during the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
when a lot of farmers were going under and everything.
Right.
And they're doing it with a large marijuana crop. And while they're doing it, there are these storms, these peculiar storms that rain frogs, fish, and snakes.
Interesting.
And I just came across the phenomenon in a book about strange phenomenon,
Yeah.
mysterious phenomenon, and it's been documented. They've been documented all over the
I've
world,
read about it, yeah.
particularly fish raining in the streets in England and
Yeah.
places. And I thought, my God, what a great just start off with that, and let's see what
Sure
yeah.
goes.
So anyway, yeah, something that's kind of fantastic,
Yeah.
but not necessarily. But I like realism too, so I
Yeah.
try to combine realism
Nice.
with the fantastic.
So, as an actor, is there that one role out there that you're aspiring for, that you're waiting for, that it's like, there's this part I want to play, that haven't quite yet, but that's what I'm gunning for one of these days. I
Oh, man.
I don't know if you think that way or not, but
Yeah.
something you would love to play in the back of your mind.
Huh. That's a good one. I mean, I guess that I like playing so many different kinds of characters that I don't really think in terms of a particular character. Probably hit me later on. I used to actually when I started out being an athlete, I thought I could play a boxer. I could play
You
one of
could.
these
I could
guys,
see that. Yeah.
that I could really go for it in the ring and just get pummeled and pummel someone, a little Rocky kind of.
Well, I was going to say, let's do
I
a
could-
Rocky film, and I'll
yeah.
play Burgess Meredith. I could do that. Yeah.
But that never.
Do a reboot.
That opportunity never came along, It never came along. But I kept thinking I'd like to play an athlete,
Yeah.
So it's too late for that now.
Hey, it's never too
I
late.
mean,
It's
I could
never
do
too late.
Maybe Jack LaLanne or something, who swam the English
That's
Channel
right.
when he was 75.
Oh, I know,
with
man. It's amazing. Guy.
Tugging boats or
I know,
carrying
that was amazing.
rowboats or something, something like that. But yeah,
That's great.
I played. There was a role that I was thinking about. I mean, it was like it was similar to. Rob Duvall did Tender Mercies,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I'm a singer-songwriter also. But I haven't.
That's right. I forgot you sang.
But I haven't been using
Yeah.
that very much. I did in theater, in some musical theater.
You've got to there, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was such a cool role. And then Jeff Bridges does Crazy Heart.
Yep.
And I've actually thought about writing a character for
Yeah,
myself
to do that. Yeah.
as a
That's there
country
you go.
singer.
Yeah.
One of those things. I don't know if I'd ever get around to it. Rip Torn actually did a movie called Payday.
I remember that. Yep.
Which
Yep.
disappeared completely.
Yep, it did. It just died.
and there was some political thing that happened with that. But that character fascinated me so much. He was like the badass country
Yeah.
singer, got a calfskin Cadillac that he rides in and is drunk in the back seat going from town to town.
I forgot about that movie. You're right. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it sort of made the circuit and boom, gone. Yeah.
Right,
Don't
and
know where it
he had and he has a guy who will do anything for him, and somebody attacks him outside after a performance one night, and he stabs the guy, kills him, and his friend's standing there, and he tells his friend, "You'll stand in for me on this, won't you?" So anyway, I love to do some kind of character like that.
All right. I want to give these folks here a chance to ask you a question. Anybody like to ask Ron a question here while we get ready to wrap this thing up? I think we've covered just about everything. Yeah. What's there left to ask? I think we did pretty good. I think we
Yeah,
did
you
pretty
are
good.
there.
Is there anything you want to ask them? No, I'm just kidding.
As an actor, what actors do you look up to? Who are your idols? What people that inspired you before you got into acting or even now?
Yeah. I've always, I mean, it's cliche, but I've always loved Brando so much, and his ingenuity and his characters, particular ones like in the Missouri Breaks, that just killed me. That character. I mean, and he'd come up with these things for his own characters, you know, and create his own stuff. Last Tango in Paris. I mean, you know, and some of his early stuff too. I mean, he's always just been incredible. I had a book by Stella Adler about her acting book, and she says something like, "People say I made Brando into the actor he was, but no, he had it all before he came to me." But then he kind of worshipped her too. And, so anyway, yeah, Brando. Nicholson, his early stuff, and really all of his stuff. There have been so many, really. Let's see. You know, Anthony Hopkins. They're being my top ones.
If you got any directors in that list, you know, piggybacking on what Keith was asking.
Yeah. Frank Darabont is one of them. I got to work. I had a bit part in the movie The Firm with Sidney Pollack, and I'd seen every one of his films, and it just, you know, that was like, I just couldn't believe I was doing a film with Sidney Pollack actually, but it was a bit part, and I was playing a cotton truck driver who parks his truck in this alley next to the firm, and it was to establish these cotton trucks that are always around Memphis, so that when Tom Cruise gets cornered in his office and they're going to kill him, he breaks the window out and jumps out into the cotton truck. So I'm playing this cotton truck driver, and I've been doing theater and a couple of little TV roles, and I'm up there working with Sidney Pollack, and I'm standing there with him, and Tom Cruise is, I met him, and you know, and so I do this role, and I think I'm pretty good at it, but he said, no, it's too big. He said, you're just pulling on these ropes here on the back of this truck here, and this guard comes out, starts hassling you, and you say, hey man, you don't own this alley, you know. So I want to please Sidney Pollack. I want to make sure I don't displease Sidney Pollack. So I don't. So I kind of tone it down to the point that Tom Cruise is walking by me. I'm supposed to. I've got like that much time, and I don't turn around fast enough. So you see the back of my head, and you hear my voice, and I'm about to turn around, but I don't turn around fast enough. So I look at the film, and I go, oh man, I sound great, you know. You see the back of me and everything, and I'm in this movie with Tom Cruise. But so that was my first film part, and a real lesson on knowing, you know, how long you're going to be. The window is, and exactly what, you know. It was like, you learn these lessons, you know, and then the next one you get cut out of, you know, something that was great. So
That's true.
You pay these dues, and then
It's called work in the trenches.
and then over time you're definitely a better actor for it.
I almost feel like for us to close this off, we need to turn you around and cut it just before you get to face the camera again, but we won't do that. But anybody else? Anybody else have a question? One more. All right.
Yeah.
So you said you were an athlete, you wanted to be a writer, but you didn't really explain how those ended up becoming more of an actor.
You mean how did being an athlete and being a writer turn into me being an actor?
Yeah, because it sounded like you wanted to be a writer, and you are, but
Yeah.
you're also this actor. So
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Yeah, I just had, I really wanted to write. I knew that, and I've never doubted it since. And and if I'm not acting, I'm writing. If I'm not auditioning, you know, I'm writing. But when I was like 25, 26, and I started doing this stand-up comedy, I was just drawn onto the stage by this guy that was doing this crazy comedy. I just knew I could do it. I think what I've realized is that I'm never happy just writing or just acting. They're two parts of me. I don't know what, you know, I am an introvert to a degree, but just sitting, you know, in my studio writing doesn't do it for me completely. And it's like a yin and yang that I have, that I have to do both. And you know, there have been times when I've just written, and I go, you know, man, I want to get out there and do something. I want to act some too. I think if I were just acting all the time, I'd start getting frustrated that I couldn't write some, you know. So it kind of works. I guess I've kind of got the, you know, craving for both of them, passion for both of them. Once you discover them, then you kind of they never get out of your system. Yeah.
Folks, Mr. Ron Clinton Smith. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, Ron Clinton Smith, and we'll be back with more panels for you from the Something Wicked Film Festival.